Let's hear it for the man. Well, thank you for coming out. We have an awesome lineup tonight. We have a great fireside chat about the future of wellness, followed by a panel with the awesome team from Radiance. So thank you so much for joining, and I want to say a special thanks to Anco for having us. This is an amazing space. Thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank Anco for the beer, for the space. If you're looking for co-working space, definitely come by Anco, talk to Kiana or any of the staff, and make it happen, because this place is awesome. And thank you, Myro, for the awesome samples of the new deodorant that they're producing. So definitely talk to them and learn more about their startup and grab a free sample. So we're kicking this night off with a fireside chat. Next time I'll get, this is my first, oh, also I just want to say, this is my first time running the Jersey City Tech Meetup, so thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate everyone for making it out here. It's, my dude. So we have an awesome fireside chat with Kiela Pender. There we go. Kiela Pender and Heather Weibel from Wellness, who is bridging the gap between the corporate world and wellness in the workspace. So they're doing really amazing things, and actually we have, to get your engagement involved in this, we kind of want, after they do the presentation and their fireside chat, if you ask a question and engage with the audience, you'll get a special gift in the form of CBD. Yeah! All right, so for anyone who asks, that's how it works. If you engage and ask a question, you get a little gift. So everyone give it up for Kiela and Heather. They're going to talk about the future of wellness in the workplace. Woo!
Hey. Test.
Successful test.
Awesome. Hey guys, how you doing tonight? All right, I can't wait to give you guys some CBD that I make with my amazing partner, who's right back there. My name is Kia. For any of you who are in Jersey City, you might have walked by my storefront. I own Need Therapeutics. It's massage, movement, meditation, and it's all fueled through organic essential oils and CBD. So what we do is work on getting experts in the field to come in, work on your body deductively, and then give you tools to take home and continue that therapeutic experience. So I'm here to interview Heather, who's doing amazing things in the tech wellness space. And the way that I know her is as a service provider for her and a colleague. We met, I guess, like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, we met at a bar.
Lit on my phone. And I was doing a massage event in the bar, and she gave me her card, and then kind of grew from there. So it was really cool and synergistic and organic, just like our essential oils. No, I'm joking. All right. So Heather, tell me a little bit about what wellness is, and maybe how you got started.
Hi everyone, just real quick before I start, how many in the room are entrepreneurs? All right, great. So a little bit about wellness. We're essentially a wellness as a service company. What does that mean? It means that we connect companies to workplace wellness vendors. So people that do massage, like Kia, yoga, even mobile medical services, really any kind of health and wellness service that you do in person in your office. And then we also give those companies access to software solutions that we developed. For their employees, it's a booking app, and for the employer, it's analytics around their program. So we are live today in 41 cities, I believe we just hit 41, and we have clients like clients like PayPal, Jet.com here in Hoboken. We work with companies like IDAX and UniFirst, so we're really serving a lot of enterprise level clients with these solutions.
So why do employers care about wellness in the workspace, and how do you help them implement that?
So about 5 years ago, we started seeing a huge spike in what's called a self-insured employer. What that means is it's an employer that actually bears all of the risk of paying out their employees' health insurance claims. And so if you work for an employer with above 1,000 employees, your employer is probably self-insured, so you might think you're insured through Blue Cross Blue Shield or something, but you're actually insured through your employer. So if you go to the doctor, they pay that bill. It's actually cheaper for companies to do it this way. The problem is they bear all of the risk of your health. And so if you end up having a very expensive health issue, like kidney disease or diabetes, you become very expensive on their insurance. And so as a result, the employers are very motivated to get upstream to their employees' health and to create healthier employees, hoping to impact downstream the claims that's happening. There's also a new thing that's happening lately, which is that there are more jobs than there are people to fill them. And so employee experience is increasingly important, and employers are turning to health and wellness type solutions as a way to create a better workspace to help with retention, reduce burnout, reduce people quitting, especially in Silicon Valley where you can just walk across the street and get a job. So we're finding for this reason about 80% of companies already do workplace health and wellness programming today, and that's really just been in the last 5 years, so it's been a huge adoption curve.
And what makes wellness, the company, better for companies for their wellness needs?
It's confusing that our name is Wellness and we do wellness.
We're just super logical.
I was so confused I forgot your question already.
So why wellness? And how do you help companies implement their wellness programs? So
yeah.
What distinguishes you?
So I was inspired to start the company because I spent 5 years at PayPal. I was based in our Germany office and I ran our international operations teams. So I traveled all the time to different offices, and I would try to be healthy on the road by participating in the workplace wellness programming. And what I ended up noticing, I had this unique position of seeing how it was implemented in every office. And so I saw that it was very, very different. So some offices, they would cater in paleo pancakes and fresh green juice and have chair massages. It was wonderful. And other offices did nothing at all. So I thought this was weird, like why do employees at the same company have different access to wellness programming? And when I come to find out, I went to our head of HR and I started talking to them about this. And I learned that they had no idea what was going on. So they left all these decisions up to a local site management level. And so centrally, they didn't know what they were offering employees, they didn't know if anyone was attending, and they certainly had no idea if there was any kind of impact. So I thought this was crazy, and I began researching it, and I found that a lot of companies have no idea what's going on with their health and wellness program. There isn't a software solution out there that gives them a layer of data over what they're doing or allows them to manage their program centrally. And so you end up with these very fractured programs, bad employee experiences. Oftentimes you're getting unlicensed and uninsured vendors coming in. So there's just a whole host of issues with how it's implemented today. And so what we're doing at Wellness is we're creating those tools that make it easy for somebody centrally to implement, manage, and optimize a wellness program by getting data across their entire organization and providing that consistency in service.
And can you tell me what kind of companies do you work with and what kind of companies are you looking for?
We typically are looking for at least 200 employees. So on-site wellness has about a 10% participation rate. So if you're like a 50-person company, maybe you're gonna get 5 people, it just isn't worth it for the employer to spend the money. So about 200 is kind of that tipping point, and it's also where companies start thinking about this kind of thing. We work best for larger organizations, multi-location companies that have the most pain points around managing their program. And we found that we're industry agnostic. So we thought we would be a tech company play, like all your Googles and Facebooks that have oodles of money to give you chair massages at work. But it turns out half of our clients are non-tech companies. So we're working with, IDEX is a veterinary lab, so it's lab workers and distribution center workers. We work with UniFirst, they're a uniform manufacturing company, factory workers and truck drivers. So we're finding that all employers care about this, they just care about it for different reasons.
So, since this is the tech meetup, if you could tell me a little bit more about the technological innovations that you're doing around the wellness space for these larger companies, and also maybe how you grew into it what you're doing from the ground up?
Yeah, so we're commonly called like tech-enabled services. So we really have a big in-person service component to what we do, and it's just powered by technologies. We're providing a better way of doing in-person services. So we're not like a AI, machine learning type crazy tech company, but we're using technology to better implement these solutions. So some of the ways that we do this is by smart matching providers to jobs, to making sure that we're tracking that utilization data on the employee side, giving employees convenience type tools, so waitlisting and calendar implementation and things like that, and then giving that data back to the employer, and that's the big missing piece today. So I kind of look at it like it's 3 phases. So phase 1 is employers just need to know what the heck's going on with their program. They don't know today, so it's getting that baseline. Phase 2, which we haven't entered yet, is once we have that baseline data, we figure out how we increase it. So how do we get more people participating? And then phase 3 is really figuring out how we can provide predictive modeling for employers, so we can say for companies like you with an employee base like this, here's the type of programming that you'd be best off doing.
And where are you in that right now?
We're in phase 1. So we're still a startup, A, but B, also our clients don't even know their baselines today, so we're helping them to get that data in the first place. This is today, and most companies run off Google Docs, and so I kid you not, Fortune 500 companies run their wellness program like this. They physically send somebody to the room where it's happening, and that person counts how many people are in the room. They go put it in a Google Doc, and then nobody ever looks at it again. So.
And also, have you thought of any solutions for like compliance and stuff like that, participation from the employees?
Yeah, in terms of like HIPAA compliance or on the vendor side?
No, like ways to get the employees to participate in the programs so that it helps the company reduce their healthcare costs.
So the number one reason that employees don't participate is they don't know what's being offered to them. So when we have a new client, we'll typically survey employees to find out what's of interest. And we oftentimes find them requesting things that they already have at their company. They just don't know it. So we had one client that had yoga twice a week. It was a 500-person office, so not a big office. And that was the number one most requested thing when we did our surveys. We would really love to have a yoga class here. So there's not a great line of communication to employees, and this is typically because of another quirk of corporate life, which is that HR usually has a limit to the number of times they can contact employees. It's typically something like 5 times a year. So they're very limited in their ability to communicate directly to the employee. So by having this app, it becomes this central place where employees know and become trained that this is where I go to look and see what's happening in my company when it comes to health and wellness programming. That alone will increase engagement because we're the single source of truth for the employee to know what's going on. So that's where we're starting. In the future, we're going to be doing some surveying and some feedback, which will help us to bring in programming that more employees want to participate in that office, because it's very dependent on your demographics, your age group, the employee's interests, their level of activity, what's going to be the right fit for you.
All right, it sounds like that would be pretty beneficial, especially for large companies. So in building your own company, what's the hardest part that you've found so far?
It's all hard. So I feel like I built my company the hardest way I possibly can, which is that I'm a solo founder, and I totally bootstrapped it, and I'm a non-technical founder. So I'm like all the things you're not supposed to be.
and a woman.
And a female. We get less than 2% of all venture funding. So I have pretty much all the things going against me. So it was difficult. I built it a very... Thank you.
I'm just saying. It's important to know.
Yeah, I definitely, I look back and I think, man, if I had just gotten like a co-founder, like a technical co-founder on day one, like how much easier would my life have been? But at the same time, most companies fail. Like the number one reason startups fail is because of co-founder issues. So I avoided that, so there's a silver lining. But yeah, it was difficult to build it that way. But on the bright side, it made me have to really get good at my business really quickly, because I couldn't afford to waste time. I couldn't not learn how to do things like sell, like I had to because I was the only salesperson. So, I think it made me better in the end, and I think where I'm at today is farther along as a result of that.
Sure. And so, within all those hard years, what was your favorite thing that you found unexpectedly about bootstrapping as a woman and solo entrepreneur?
Well, kind of to that point of you have to do everything. It forces you to try things that you wouldn't normally try, so you learn things about yourself. And that's my favorite part of being in a startup, is like what you learn about yourself in the process. So I figured out early on that I thought, like a lot of founders, I'm going to build my product and then I'm going to hire a salesperson to sell it for me. And then at some point I was like, oh no, I am the salesperson. And every founder goes through that, but I think I luckily did it earlier than a lot of people do. And I was like, crap, I have to learn about sales. I don't know how to do sales, and not only that, but I don't want to do sales. Like, it sounds awful, and I had this idea it was like skeezy, So, me too. So I was like, okay, well, I have to do it. So I built for myself my own 2-week boot camp, sales boot camp, where every day I had a theme, and I lined up experts every day to talk to around that theme. So one day was content marketing, so I reached out to content marketers and interviewed them, and I read books, and I got a sales mentor, and I literally just taught myself sales. And to my great surprise, it turns out I really like sales. And one thing I learned is that it's just a process. Sales is a funnel, right? So you put X in, you get Y out, and I'm a process person. And once I figured that out, I was like, oh, sales is great. So it turns out I love it, and there's nothing better than the thrill of closing a deal. You're like, I just made something up in my head, and then fast forward 2 years, and somebody gave me money for it. So I get a rush out of it, and I now actually think if there was an alternative reality where I had to go back to a corporate job, I might be a salesperson. It might be my other career one day. So it's cool to learn things like that about yourself.
Yeah. So you mentioned getting mentors, and so since there's so many entrepreneurs in the room, I'd love to know if you had any advice on things to do at different levels, right? What you've learned from past failures, what you're learning from successes now.
Yeah, so first on the topic of mentors, because I feel that's always a big topic, how do I get a mentor? How do I find a mentor? I feel there's a lot of pressure for people to find this a mentor that's gonna dedicate their life to you and guide you through everything, and that's not how it works.
Oh, you mean that's not reality?
You have many mentors, and you have people that will help you during this time of your startup or your career, and then they're not useful to you anymore because you outgrow them, right? And then you get another mentor, and it's really all this pressure about finding a mentor. You just need to find people that you can talk to, that you can reach out to, in a casual way for a period of time in which is useful for both of you, right? So I think we can take some of the pressure off on the mentorship thing. I've had many mentors you cycle through. But yeah, so to the what have I learned? I think one of the big things when you have a startup is, when do you keep going, or when do you stop? How do you know if you're being silly or if you should push through? And I had a startup before this one, and it was a failed startup. So this is weird, but I owned and operated a cigar business for 5 years. Not health and wellness. It's total opposite. I'm doing my penance now. But I did that for 5 years, and it just never made any money. And at some point I was like, am I just gonna keep doing this forever and not making money? And I decided to close it, and it was really hard, and I put a lot of my life and energy into it. And you always wonder, should I just persevere? So that's one of the things I spent a lot of time thinking about, and I think my current hypothesis on this is you just have to ask yourself 2 things, and one of them is, am I making progress? Am I doing better than I was last month? Is there demonstrated traction and forward momentum? And the second is, do you still like doing it? And if the answer to both of those is yes, then I think you should keep going and you're being tenacious. And if the answer to one of them is no, then maybe you're being thick-headed. So with my cigar bar, both of those were no, so that was a definite stop doing that.
Awesome. Great. So Heather, if someone wanted to get wellness implementation for their company, or they work for a large company and they are like, maybe we have yoga, I don't know. How can they refer their company to wellness? What can they do?
Yes, so you can visit us at wellness.com, but it's spelled funny, so like that. I just read an article that said when you pick a name for a company, the only question you should ask is, when you say it, do people know how to spell it? And I was like, damn it. I think it's like, no, for both of ours. Because I'm like, it's need. They're like, I'm like, no, like, you know, like, no, like, dough. And they're like, oh, K-N-E-D? So yes, you could go to our website. Also, if you work at a company and you want to have chair massages or mobile dentistry or meditation, definitely come find me afterwards, and we'd love to talk to somebody at your company.
So, cool. Now's the time for you guys to get CBD if you want it.
I forgot to mention that she makes this, and it's amazing.
Yes,
really
so
cool. Let me tell them a little more about.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. How do we find Need?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, we're right down the street. Actually, we're right here on the corner from Pet Shop, which is the after party. Hey. We are on Jersey Ave between Newark and Columbus, and we also have a loft location around the corner because we have so many people that drop in. So we have a place that you can just walk around, and that's in the Vito Lofts. We have an infrared sauna and amazing massages all day, meditation. We have workshops. I'm doing a yin yoga and CBD workshop on September 23rd. If you guys want to come, it's going to be really fun. And then my fiance and I, that's Andres back there. He was in the cannabis industry in California. I met him. He taught me all about the amazingness of like the cannabis and hemp plants. I am an herbalist and aromatherapist, as well as a massage therapist, meditation leader, yogi, movement specialist. I just like healing people's bodies. And we fused those things together, and we created Need Essentials. So a lot of it is powered through CBD. So we have soaps and salves and roll-ons and sprays, all for pain relief, ways to effectively get wellness into your home. And we give you ways to stretch and stuff like that when you're in our office with the products that we make. So they're all organic. Most of the oils are sourced very ethically from female-owned farms, which is important to me. And everything is independently tested. So it's exciting and fun. I have a spearmint basil salt scrub and soak. So if you ask Heather a question, I will throw this at you. And then no, buddy. You already got it. Don't be greedy. So if you have any questions, even if you're like, what did you do here? Ask it and get some stuff.
Are you calm?
Okay,
Question?
you hand it, and then I'm going to throw this at your face.
Throw it up. Oh.
I don't know where you're going to the questions.
I have amazing aim.
Amazing aim. I have amazing.
All right, go.
All right. My question was, does Need Massage, is it a provider for wellness? And what has your experience been? Has it helped your business grow?
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the things about, yes, I am a service provider. I source for Need. I source through Need for wellness. Actually, I have just kind of formalized a little bit more with wellness as a provider. So I'm actually helping them source a lot of different providers, not just massage, in-house with them, because Heather is so fantastic to work with. And one of the things on the provider side that I think is really important is that they follow up with the clients and get a lot of feedback. So you have a lot of client success, right? So if someone, say, if we bring a service provider there, and then the client doesn't want to get wellness after that, we start getting feedback as to why. Whereas normally, as an independent service provider, I don't have that formal relationship with the client, so I don't get that feedback. So it might be that they don't have the budget, or it might be that they didn't have a lot of people who went. It might be that they hated the service provider and the person was doing something crazy, but there's no way for me to know that. But with wellness, I actually get that feedback. And I actually get it regularly with some of the standing clients, which I find incredibly beneficial. And I can see that as a company who brings my employees in, but also as an independent person who also goes to companies and does services. I would love to have more feedback from that and then be able to change or optimize what it is that I'm doing. So I think for sure, at least from my side of it, wellness optimizes wellness for the client and the workplace, but also for the providers.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think another thing that we do on the provider side, and this probably isn't Kia's situation, but a lot of independent providers are chronically underemployed. So they, on average, have to work 2 jobs to make ends meet, and they make about $38,000 a year. And so you have like yoga schools like just churning out yoga teachers and massage schools, and there's just like not enough jobs for them. And so they go into these things thinking this is my new career, and then they realize like, no, I can't make enough money, so I have to keep my old job still. And so really the most like lucrative kind of jobs you can get are private, and the safest jobs you can get are private corporate jobs as opposed to private in-home jobs. And most therapists, health and wellness providers are women, over 80%. So the in-home thing, there's definitely a safety issue. So this is like high quality, high paying work that we can provide to providers that wouldn't know how to walk into like Jet.com and get some business from them. So we become a source of jobs for them.
I can also say that as someone who sources, wellness is committed to getting local providers to the companies. So it's not like, oh, we're going to contact this really big company. It's more independent, so it's really cool.
Next question.
Heather, how did you get into like the I'm so sorry about that. Heather, how did you get into those clients? How did you find those clients from like Jet or those high value clients? How did you get into the corporation, just out of curiosity?
Our best source of acquisition is actually cold emails. So when I was teaching myself about sales, I read a book called From Impossible to Inevitable, and it's the sequel to Predictable Revenue. And it's basically just about like how to cold email. So our best email, it's super simple. We spent all this time like writing these complicated drip emails, and it turns out our best email is literally we know who's in charge of wellness at this company. We email them and we say, oh, your company is so big and confusing. I'm looking for the person in charge of wellness. Can you please help me? We know that they're the person in charge of wellness. And most people feel that their company is big and confusing, and so they're like, yeah, it is. And they usually will write back and they'll be like, oh, that's me. And we're like, oh, great. Can we have a meeting? So that's very successful for us. From impossible to inevitable. It's amazing. It works like a chart. We have a 16% response rate to that email. Yeah.
All right. Who's next? Questions? Andrew?
Just close your eyes. Be careful.
Yeah, please. You do it. You do it.
Whoa.
Teamwork.
So, my name's Andrea. Curious to know what was your strategy before leaving PayPal when you decided, all right, I'm going to go full in, or maybe you're still at PayPal, I don't know. But and in terms of like savings or anything you could
the time, so it wasn't like a hard decision. So we had just spun off from eBay, and there was like a bunch of reorgs and all this internal stuff happening. So for me, I was like ready to leave. And I was actually like interviewing at smaller and smaller companies. I knew I wanted to go not to such a large company, and I ended up getting a job offer at a startup. And they offered me like, it was employee number 3, and they offered me like, I don't know, 1% equity or something. And they were like not far along at all. And I was like, you know what, I could start a company tomorrow and own 100% of it and be as far along as these guys are. And so a week later, I did exactly that. So yeah, for me, like I did have to live off savings. I mean, I bootstrapped it. I think I got into ERA, which is an accelerator in New York, and they fund you with $100,000. And right before I found out I got in, I think I had like $30 left in my checking account. So I really wrote it as far as I could. My next step was going to be telling my boyfriend that he was paying rent by himself.
Is there any other questions? Hold on, here it comes. Dive bomb. So I see that they're all going to the right. So I'm just going to start throwing it to the people on the left.
Heather, so I wanted to ask, what type of analytics do you provide around wellness to your companies, and does it kind of flow seamlessly with other databases, or?
So today we're mostly providing utilization metrics, so how many people are participating in the program, what % of your organization is this, and how does that compare to other companies? And then we also surface like the most popular class that you offer and the time of day to offer that class. What we want to do next is offer probably analytics around these recruiting metrics, which are like increased goodwill towards your employer, reduction in stress, increase in productivity. We haven't finalized those yet, but those are what we're thinking. We're not going to go down the path of measuring healthcare outcomes, even though that's the motivation for a lot of companies to do this. It's just incredibly hard to tie like this person took a yoga class to like now you don't have diabetes. So it's very squishy, and it also takes like 3 years to really show any kind of results from that. And as a result, like a lot of HR people are kind of skeptical of that data anyway. So we're just, as a business decision, we're just not going to go down that path.
I guess you can kind of maybe like ask them or like survey them like how much they enjoy their work experience, provided that their employers, I guess, provide these kind of incentives. Right?
Exactly. This metric is called increased goodwill towards your employer. It's basically like, do you feel like your employer cares about you? And so it's a metric that's commonly used by like recruiting teams to kind of indicate, you know, how many people might quit soon.
Yeah.
Okay, you do it this time. To the left. This is really fun. I hope this is fun for you guys, as it is fun for us.
All right. Hi. So my question is, how big is your team right now, and what is your goal for the long run?
Yes. So right now we're like four to 5. We just had a shift, adding. And then we have outsourced development today, so we have about 2.5 resources in Atlanta at an agency. And where do we want to go? Well, we're in the middle of our fundraising round, so that's the priority, to get that closed up. And then we're really going to build out the sales team and build out the product more with that funding. So the plan is to build a lot of features that will allow us to unlock enterprise sales. So things like single sign-on or advanced reporting are things that we can build that will really like help us on the sales side, and then to build out the sales team to then go capture those accounts. The plan, like all startups, is to hit $50 million in 5 years. That's what every startup says. Well, we're gonna do it.
You are doing it. I've watched this woman grow. So. Anything else?
That's a long throw.
You do it. Stand up for that one. Hey, here we go.
Hi, I have a question for both of you. Regarding health and wellness, what's some quick tips on how to add it into your day-to-day lifestyle with a very busy, rigorous schedule?
I'll take
That's
this
you.
one for sure. That's me. Well, so I think it really, again, depends on the person and what busy means. Because busy could be busy on a computer, busy could be busy in a car, driving, busy could mean on your phone. So I think one of the things that I would say is universal is that sitting will kill you. So when you sit for more than an hour, what happens neurologically, what happens physiologically, what happens to your heart rate, to blood pressure and what's called your precapillary arterioles, actually ages you faster and increases the toxicity in your body. So what I would say is, if at all possible, every single hour move for 2 minutes. Set an alarm. Go get a cup of coffee. Just go do something. Just walk around, look busy, it doesn't matter. It actually reduces your stress, and it also helps with your productivity and how fast your brain processes information. So if you look at the metrics from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., with a person who sits and they're like, I can't move, I have to finish this project, to someone who stands up once an hour, the break that they take over those 2 minutes, the aggregate of that is what, like 16 minutes. They'll get something around half an hour to 45 minutes of extra production on that project, right? So I think that's a universal thing. So if you can stand. Also, I would say, because most people sit, stretch the front of your fucking body. Everyone stretches their legs, their back. Everyone's like, oh, I have lower back pain, I have neck pain. And then you're like, oh, okay, so then they do this, right? And they're destabilizing the areas that are already hyperextended. So it's stupid, and it doesn't make sense when you actually know what's going on in the body. So I would say, like, stretch this way and this way, and then do that stretch like that. And there's lots of ways that you can do that also, like at your desk, or maybe during those 2 minutes that you're walking around. Those would probably be the two things that I would say. Also, breathe more deeply. Actually take large breaths. We only use about 60 to 70% of our lung capacity. And you actually get like stale air at the bottom of your lungs, which is crazy. So if you take really deep breaths, you can get to about 85%. And then you have to have your heart rate, above 150 to get the rest of that utilization of your lungs. Does that answer your question? Three things? Okay.
All right, let's get one more question. Your biggest obstacle so far?
What's your biggest obstacle so far? Hold on. Okay.
Get off your phone, Brian.
Yeah, that's right. I did that on purpose.
There are so many, it's hard to choose one, but I'm gonna say that finding tech talent is really difficult, especially at startups where you can't pay market rate. So I churned out 2 in-house engineers already. The first one got poached by WeWork, and the second one got poached by WeWork. Then I wasted, tens of thousands of dollars and a lot of time, and I got nothing for it. So I decided to go to the dev shop at that point. I still want to bring it in-house, but it's really hard to find tech talent because there's just, such a demand for it.
Do you find yourself outsourcing more, or?
Yeah, right now we're outsourcing, and we actually really love the development team, but investors don't look too kindly on you outsourcing your technology. So at some point we do have to bring it in-house, or we won't be able to raise a Series A round. So it's kind of just like you have to do that. It's also one of the only reasons you end up getting acquired is for the talent for your technical team, and that's not in-house, takes that off the table. So it is important to in-house it, but right now we love our partners. It's like the one thing that isn't broken, so I'm not gonna break it. I'm just gonna let that keep going. But yeah, it's working for us now. And I would say I was really opposed to outsourcing it for a long time. And one of my advisors, one of my mentors said to me, it's better to like outsource it and have forward momentum and like figure it out than to like just keep banging your head against the wall and like not getting anywhere. Like just do it. So, and I was really glad we finally did. I wish we did it a long time ago.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, everyone give it up for Heather and Kia. Thank you so much.
We have a bunch more of these CBD salt soaks and scrubs, so if you
Even
guys
if you didn't
want
ask
some,
a question.
maybe if you ask questions with the next panel, I'll throw it at your face.
Thank you guys.